A city's sense of security? It's a fragile thing, like a pane of glass. For New Orleans, that glass was pulverized in the early hours of May 16, 2025. 10 inmates, supposedly locked down tight inside the Orleans Justice Center, orchestrated an escape so audacious it felt ripped from a Hollywood script. But this wasn't Tinseltown fiction. This was a real-life vanishing act, exposing a shocking chain of security failures that let 10 men simply melt into the night. On earth did this happen? How could a modern jail be outsmarted so completely its defenses seemingly made of paper? Picture this. The clock ticks past midnight. It's 12:22 a.m. Inside a supposedly secure pod of the Orleans Justice Center, inmates begin forcing a cell door. And here's the kicker. No guard was there. Not a single one. That glaring lack of oversight was the first domino in a cascade of blunders that saw 10 prisoners vanish. Like smoke through a keyhole, the Orleans Justice Center, built to hold those awaiting trial or serving sentences, became the unwilling stage for this wild drama. Like an old car sputtering on its last leg, the jail had persistent problems. Aging buildings, its complaints about faulty locks that whispered promises of escape, and chronic understaffing. On the night of May 15th, the jail supposedly went into lockdown around 10:30 p.m. Inmates in cells, all secure. In theory, but the pod where the escape ignited, it was critically short-staffed. No dedicated sheriff's deputy was assigned that night. And the civilian worker meant to monitor the area? Reports claimed they'd stepped away, leaving a blind spot in the security net large enough for a truck to cruise through. This wasn't just a random rush. It was a smart plan to hit the jail's weak spots. First, around 12:22 a.m., they forced an initial cell door right off its tracks. They pulled off that move and ended up in another cell. By 12:43 a.m., they were eyeing the combo sink toilet in there. They ripped the entire fixture from the wall, exposing an opening. Investigators figured they used tools, maybe even modified hair clippers, to cut through steel bars hidden behind it. This didn't look like a lucky break. Authorities quickly suspected an inside job. And sure enough, a jail maintenance worker was later arrested. The charge? He allegedly turned off the water supply to that specific cell, making the heavy toilet unit far easier to yank out, effectively greasing the wheels for their getaway. His side of the story claimed an inmate had threatened him. Fast forward to 1:01 a.m., amazingly, even with reports that up to a third of the jail's surveillance cameras weren't working, some footage caught the 10 men sprinting out. They didn't just walk. They threw blankets over a barbed wire fence, scrambled over, and then incredibly, and right across the busy Interstate 10, vanishing into the darkness. And to really rub salt in the wound, they left graffiti near the hole in the wall with messages like "too easy," a final taunting footnote. As bold as the escape was, what didn't happen next was almost more unbelievable. The sheer delay in discovering they were gone. For nearly 7 solid hours, the absence of 10 inmates went completely unnoticed. It wasn't until the routine morning head count at 8:30 a.m. on May 16th that the alarm was finally raised. Think about that. Even a missed breakfast tray collection at 5:15 a.m., red flag as big as a Mardi Gras float, failed to get anyone's attention sooner. Once the penny dropped, it was all hands on deck. A massive manhunt erupted, involving over 200 law enforcement officers from numerous agencies. So, how did they really pull it off? This escape was a masterclass in exploiting weaknesses. The most glaring failure, opening the door for everything else, is the total lack of direct supervision. No guard physically in the pod, and the civilian monitor allegedly away from their post. That alone was a golden opportunity. Then came the physical breaches. A cell door, apparently easy to force. The ability to rip a toilet from a wall, and then cut through steel bars. Physical security was more Swiss cheese than steel trap. Add the compromised camera system and the mind-boggling failure to act on obvious red flags like those missed breakfast trays, and you get a picture of systemic breakdown. Allegations of inside assistance from that maintenance worker and perhaps others peeled back another troubling layer of the jail's vulnerability. It's no surprise official reports later cited chronic issues: underfunding, understaffing, an old building, and flawed security rules, all contributing to this perfect storm of neglect. It's a wild story, isn't it? and a stark reminder that when it comes to security, diligent oversight is everything. Security is a chain. It's only as strong as its weakest link, and here several links had clearly rusted through. If you find these in-depth investigations as fascinating as we do, hit that like button. Subscribe for more content like this, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What security blunder in this whole mess surprised you the most? So, what happened after they vanished into the New Orleans night? An intense manhunt kicked into high gear. Some escapees were recaptured relatively quickly, but others proved more elusive, like fish slipping through a net, prompting authorities to offer increased rewards. As of early June 2025, 8 of the 10 were caught. 2 were still out there, men charged with or convicted of violent crimes, including murder. This escape, as you can imagine, triggered serious political fallout, a shockwave through the city's justice system. Investigations launched left and right, and calls for accountability grew louder. Sheriff Susan Hudson publicly acknowledged the security failures, but also highlighted the facility's long-standing, deep-rooted problems, stating the cracks in the dam had formed long before it burst. The incident forced an uncomfortable look at the Orleans Justice Center and the broader challenges facing correctional institutions. Looking back at the 2025 New Orleans jailbreak, it's clear this was more than just 10 men making a daring escape. It was a brutal, eye-opening lesson in how easily the systems designed to prevent such events can be completely dismantled, like a sandcastle washed away by an unexpected wave. It was a story of guards who weren't watching, locks that didn't hold, a discovery that came hours too late, and the sheer, brazen confidence of inmates who saw their chance and grabbed it. Those words, "too easy," scrawled on a prison wall, they serve as an unsettling, mocking epitaph to an escape that proved just how quickly secure can become unguarded, allowing 10 inmates to simply vanish. The search for the remaining men may continue, but the much bigger, more important search for answers, accountability, and genuine lasting reforms